Ever since COVID struck almost 3 years ago, the world has just not been the same since. People have adapted to different ways of doing things, but now many corporations are trying to revert their businesses back to how it used to be before COVID. In this video, we'll be taking a look at how Apple had to shelve its plan to get their workers back into the office. Stay tuned to hear more. First up, how it all started. When the money you're being paid is in the $300,000 range, life is good for some employees at the FANG companies, aka Facebook, now Meta, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google. And ex-employee experiences, Amazon is a workaholic's heaven or hell. There's no work-life balance at Google, there's just only you and Google. Netflix stock options were great after their whole fiasco with the account sharing password backfire. And lastly, I think we can all agree with this. Plain and simple, Facebook is a cult. But at Apple, most people like where they work, or so they did. When Apple announced all employees would be required to go back to the office 3 days a week, starting May 23rd, people lost their cool. Next, dear management. Some workers wrote a letter to Apple's executives, saying Apple's new hybrid working structure doesn't recognize flexible work and is only driven by fear of the future of work, fear of worker autonomy, fear of losing control. This is like going into battle. Apple staffers do not complain, and if they do, they definitely don't like to tell the entire world about it, not in a public way. That means that no one's name was publicly attached to the Apple protest letter released earlier this month. Apple employees know full and well the truth of the Japanese proverb, the nail that sticks out gets hammered down. Still, despite their fabulous pay and benefits, some have had enough. As the letter states, Apple's management claims that the fun that comes from bumping into colleagues when everyone is in the same place is just not going to work anymore. Not everyone works out of the Apple spaceship. We don't have just one office. We have many. They say the structure is part of their culture. It doesn't take luck to overcome the communication silos and make cross-functional connections that are vital for Apple to function. It takes intentionality. And guess what? The employees who seem to be more in tune with modern technology than some older people in management note that meeting by chance is only because of Slack, which has made this much easier over the last 2 years. Even then, Apple's 1984 Big Brother management holds up. They also state how they choose to keep them all in separate siloed Slack workspaces and try to prevent them from talking to each other. So software engineers don't accidentally talk to AppleCare employees, and retail staff don't accidentally meet hardware engineers. They've even made it impossible to create shared community spaces where serendipity could have happened, online and remotely. A Verge reporter tweeted about the not-so-surprising departure of Ian Goodfellow, Apple's director of machine learning, who explained, "I believe strongly that more flexibility would have been the best policy for my team. He was likely the company's most cited ML expert. Great job, Apple. You nailed it." A technologist who doesn't know Apple well asked when Apple went from think different to zero autonomy. But Apple has never been about think different, except at the very top of the food chain. Steve Jobs, Jony Ive, and Tim Cook can think differently. The rest of the employees must follow their lead. People say that was true with Jobs in the 1980s, and it's true today under Cook in the 20s. And now, the time to give back. The many employees of Apple highlight the countless advantages of working from home. They say working sitting in a cubicle is a technology from the last century, from the era before video call capable internet existed, and everyone had to be on the same internal chat application. But the future is about connecting whenever and wherever with people who have relevant input, no matter if they're at home, in an office, or heck, even at the beach, as long as it's a comfortable and energizing environment for people to work in. They also observed that Cook said, Apple delivered on its promises to its customers during the pandemic, regardless of the circumstances. It's true. And so us employees delivered on our promises as well, and continue to do so. We were incredibly flexible and resilient, and found new ways to do our work, despite not being able to go into the office. Now, they want Apple execs to show some love, some flexibility, and let go of the rigid policy of the hybrid working structure. The workers are simply asking for upper management to simply get out of the way. There is no one-size-fits-all solution. Let them decide how they work best, and they will do the best work of their lives. While Apple's employees aren't threatening to quit, they're challenging authorities. But it's not all that easy. There's a question of what happens if Apple doesn't cooperate. Well, a survey of 652 Apple employees from April 13th to April 19th via an anonymous social network poll found that 56% of those surveyed said they'd leave Apple because of its office requirements. It's not just Apple's engineering and product teams that have had enough. Apple Store employees who must work on-site are unionizing as well. And what is Apple's response to all of this? They hired the union-killing law firm Littler Mendelson. Great. It seems it's not just Apple. Let's be honest. We've all changed after COVID. There's no going back to who we were or how we did things. And we're not even working at an insanely giant tech company. So it's simple, really. With their great benefits and top-of-the-line salaries are so outraged that many are publicly calling out management and planning to leave. How loyal do you think small business people will be if you demand they return to the office? We think they'll be goners. And that means you'll face the troubles of trying to hire new employees. It would be far wiser to embrace working from home for good, or at least make them feel heard. Ask them how they can optimize working ways. You'll just make your employees a lot happier. And now, some more Apple-related news. Apple buying EA EA? EA has reportedly been seeking out a merger, and Apple was a potential suitor. A report about Comcast CEO Brian Roberts' attempt to merge NBC with the game publisher reveals. Apple has a long history of making acquisitions, partly to enhance its employee and knowledge base, partly to quickly shift into new markets. In a recent report, it is claimed that there was at least discussions of a potential purchase of Electronic Arts. In a piece discussing how Comcast CEO Brian Roberts attempted to court EA CEO Andrew Wilson for a potential merger of EA and NBC Universal, sources say other talks also took place. iPhone 14 front camera upgrade. The upcoming iPhone 14 and iPhone 14 Pro could feature a very high-end selfie camera with a built-in autofocus that will be assembled in South Korea, a new report claims. Because let's just be honest, nobody cares about the back camera anymore. Apple has reportedly cut a Chinese supply chain partner and has South Korean company LG Innotek for the new front-facing camera, ET News reported. LG Innotek has since begun mass production of the new camera setup. The new camera setup is set to cost as much as 3 times more than previous iPhone front-facing cameras. The change is a result of Apple classifying the front-facing camera as a high-end component instead of a low-end one, as well as quality concerns about Chinese suppliers. The new report corroborates rumors from other media outlets and analysts, including Ming-Cho Kuo. Back in April, Kuo said that the iPhone 14 could get an upgraded front camera with an autofocus for enhanced FaceTime calls and selfies. Along with autofocus, Kuo added that the cameras could support a wider aperture that could provide the iPhone models with better portrait mode capabilities. Tim Cook on the cover of Times. Apple CEO Tim Cook has been included in Time's annual list of the 100 most influential people of 2022, with the chief receiving praise from Lauren Powell Jobs as well as a cover shot. The Time 100 is a list compiled of people that the publications believe have been the most influential in the world over the last 12 months. For 2022, Tim Cook has made a return to the list, following 7 years after his last appearance. The profile of Cook was written by Lauren Powell Jobs, the widow to co-founder Steve Jobs and founder of social change organization the Emerson Collective. Silicon Valley return. Apple and other tech giants have lost more than $2 trillion in value in 2022, but the big players are more than capable to emerge from the economic downturn stronger than ever. The New York Times on Monday analyzed the differences between the panic on Wall Street and the relative calm among Silicon Valley giants such as Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Alphabet, and Meta. For example, market analysts are expecting all those tech giants to increase hiring, acquire more businesses, and emerge more powerful in the years ahead. Richard Kramer of Arete Research says the company's cash reserves can allow them to invest through the cycle. That's a wrap for this video. If you have any questions about Apple and its work from home situation, do let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one!